Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft, here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I guess that clinches it. New England now has its new Tom Brady. Mac Brady, your guy. Good luck with that, right?
I don't know about all that.
Huh?
Skip, his arm looked a lot weaker last night than it did in Alabama.
I thank you for saying that. His arm made Brady's arm look like Mahomes' arm, right?
It did.
Uh-oh.
But he's very active.
Here we go.
He's very
Little
active.
difference between the college game and the pro game. Oh, we're just getting started there. I promise we'll get to it, but we have some big Clippers news. And even though there is currently no timetable set for his return, we now know Kawhi will be sticking around in L.A. Yesterday, Kawhi agreed with the Clippers to a 4-year deal with a player option that is worth over $176 million, according to reports. So, Shannon, will he lead the Clippers to a championship during this contract?
Skip, I'm going to look at it like this. Let's break it down like this. We do know that there's a likelihood that he's going to miss some of the season this year. Is it going to be some or is it going to be all? He missed 15 games, he missed 30 games, or he says, you know what, guys, I'm going to make sure I'm totally healthy, because this is what we know about Kawhi Leonard in his history. He does not play hurt. So I'm going to say this year, I'm going to wash it up. I'm going to say he doesn't play at all. Even though I think there's a 50-50 chance he does play, but he missed some games. So,
may I say you better hope he doesn't play this year?
No, I want him to play. I want him to play. It doesn't matter to me. We don't worry about the other squad. We worry about what's in our locker room. But anyway, so that's 1 year. So he has 2 years left, because the 4th year is an option. Basically, Skip, that's an insurance policy in case the knees do give out on him, because we know his history. He's had some knee issues over the last several years that's caused him to miss some time. I'm going to say they don't, Skip, because I don't believe the Nets, I don't believe Milwaukee, I don't believe the Lakers, I don't believe some of these other teams have some of the issues that they have. Now, when you have two guys on max deals, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, it becomes very difficult for you to fill out your roster with significant players. Basically, you're getting guys on mid-level exceptions. You're getting guys taking the vet minimum. They did get an opportunity to sign Reggie Jackson back. He got some good money. He played really well for them last year. They invested a lot in Marcus Morris. He also returns. Terrence Mann is going to get more and more playing time. It seems like he's gaining confidence as the days go by. I don't believe they do, Skip, because I don't believe they're better than the Nets. I don't believe they're better than the Lakers. I don't believe that they're better than the Bucks. So with that being said, I'm going to say they don't win one within the next 3 years. Now, he could opt out after that 4th year, so we'll see what happens then. I'm just going to take it 3 years, because that's what we know for a fact.
That's what we know for a fact.
He has a 3-year deal. I'm going to say within the next 3 years, he does not win a championship. As a matter of fact, our good old friends at Fox bet: Nets, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Jazz, Suns. All are favored in front of your team.
Well, that's in large part because of that injury.
Well, is he healthy all of a sudden?
If he were 100%, the Clippers might be up there right at the very top.
First of all, if LeBron James was in year 12, we'd be number 1. You know that, I know that. So,
yeah, but he's completely healthy, and he could stand on a yoga ball for a whole minute.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. I believe that LeBron James is going to play at the very minimum 2 more years. Now, Skip, will he be the same LeBron year 20, year 21? That remains to be seen. I'm concerned about year 19. We'll cross 28 and 21 bridges at a later date in time. I still believe Philly is in play for Dame Lillard. You put Joel Embiid and Dame together, that has the makings to being something really, really special. So to make a long story short, and I made a short story long,
yes, I'm
going to say no.
You're going to say no. Okay, I'm glad you brought up that time frame, that span of 3 years, because that's what we know.
That's what we know.
And we also, given Father Time, given tapping LeBron on at least one of his shoulders at this moment, I'll give LeBron 3 more seasons. So it's pretty weird that it's concurrent, that it looks like Kawhi will play at least 3 more years for the Clippers, and LeBron probably will play 3 more years for the Lakers.
They're like their 3 years overlap.
Okay, match.
Okay.
Here we go. I believe with all my heart and soul that Kawhi Leonard will win at least one championship for the Clippers in the next 3 years. I believe with all my heart and soul LeBron will not win another championship for the Lakers as he goes into year 19, 20,
You said
21.
that when he first got there, he wasn't going to win no championship.
Well, then they get the bubble championship.
Well,
Nobody wanted to go to the bubble except for LeBron, and I give him credit for that. They bubbled up on everybody. That's what they did, and they pulled it off. They got to play the 5th seed from the Eastern Conference in the finals, and the 5th seed lost its 2 best players in the playoffs in Game 1 of the finals. It has a big old shiny asterisk at the bottom of it, and you got a cubic zirconia ring, and I congratulate you for that in the bubble.
Didn't the Spurs beat the Knicks one year as an 8th seed?
Okay, I've never said no to that. I agree with that. That was a long time. That was ancient.
It happened.
Ancient David Robinson history.
Happened.
Yeah, okay, it did happen. All right, back to what just happened here.
Okay.
I believe there was a silver lining to what happened when Joe Ingles bumped Kawhi Leonard at the end of that game. Remember that game?
You keep saying that like it's almost like you believe it was intentional. That's what you keep saying. That's what you keep sounding like.
I'm not saying it was intentional because it didn't look that bad. Or can we see it? Just the Joe Ingles play. It's the end. They're about to tie the series up at 2-2, and it's at Staples.
Why was he in the game?
That's exactly my question, and I tweeted that immediately because there's 5:25 left in the game, and the Clippers are up 105-88. I don't know why, but it didn't look like a dangerous blow that was delivered, right? He just bumped him.
Right.
And it wasn't malicious. It wasn't intentional. He was just trying to stop his momentum.
Right.
It was just a cagey play by a guy who kind of plays more with his head than his body, right? And what happened, he came down just a little bit awkwardly and ligament tore. Not badly, but it tore enough he needed surgery. So at that point, it's 2-2, and you know what happened the rest of the way. Paul George rose and shone the rest of the way, and he really played well. He played like a superstar instead of just a star. But the point was that if that play doesn't happen, I believe that Kawhi Leonard would have shopped himself. I believe that he would have wanted to be more wined and dined on the open market by the Knicks or by Miami or whoever else might have jumped into the fray. And yet, once that went down, well, he's kind of stuck, right? Because now it's a little questionable whether he can play at all, as you just brought up, next year. So are you going to pay? It's like the Kevin Durant situation. You're going to pay for Kevin Durant even though you're going to miss the whole first year with him? Yes, you are. But is Kawhi Kevin Durant? Well, I never said he was Kevin Durant. Right. He's really good, and he's good enough to lead the Clippers to a championship, but he's not Kevin Durant. But on the open market, as he had just turned 30 years of age, would Kawhi have been able to command the kind of attention and the kind of dollars that he did when he was in Toronto and came to the Clippers instead of the Lakers?
But the thing is, Skip, he wouldn't have been able to get the max dollars that he got from the Clippers on the open market.
I got it.
We know Kawhi wants to get, he likes his money.
But he also likes to be wined and dined, right?
Yeah. Okay. I still believe he would have got wined and dined.
Okay,
they showed him love.
So, but the point is, he is now a Clipper for at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe beyond 4 years. We don't know that for a fact at this point. We know 3. And what we do know is that Paul George, as I just said, rose and shone in the playoffs because here are his numbers. They went up considerably from the regular season because he was playing 41 minutes a game. He far and away led the whole playoffs in minutes average per game. 41 minutes. He averaged 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's star power. That's money can't buy kind of talent and an impact on playoff games. And I remind you that they got through Utah without Kawhi, right?
Yeah.
And then I will remind you, it took the stretch of Chris Paul's life to save the day for the Phoenix Suns against the Clippers without Kawhi.
Oh, that Game 6.
Okay, remember Game 6, what happened at Staples?
Yeah.
When LeBron weirdly went to another game, but I don't know what that was about. I don't know what it was about, but the point was, at Staples that night, Chris Paul, who used to call Staples home, he made it his home away from home because in the last minute and 28 seconds of the third quarter and then the fourth quarter, he scored 27 points. You saw stretches in the finals where you say, there's no way he could score 27 points in a game, let alone in a
2
quarter.
games.
Yeah, right, in 2 games, let alone in a quarter and a minute and 28 seconds at the end of the third quarter. He just shot them right out of the playoffs.
Right.
Well, Well, it's like too good. You tip your cap, you go on.
Right.
You know, you're done because he had not just the game of his life, he had the stretch of his life. I've never seen him play like that before, right?
No.
Okay, so it took that to stop the Paul George-led Clippers. And then all of a sudden, they all ran it back. It reminds me of what Tampa Bay did, except they obviously didn't go win the championship. Although you, Shannon Sharpe, acknowledged on television that if Kawhi had stayed healthy, they would have gone to the finals. I don't know if you thought they would win the finals, but they would have gotten to the finals. I believe they could have beat Giannis and company, but that's just me. So the point is, Paul George is obviously back, but then Reggie Jackson came back.
Right.
And it shocked me. I just pretty much figured that he had earned his money and he was gone, right? And you did too.
Yes.
You thought he was about to get really paid, and he took that mid-level exception of, what was it, like 10-ish million, okay? And it was because he thought he owed this team for giving him a second chance in the league. Right?
But that's good money, Skip, considering that he's playing on the minimum last year to get $10.5, $11 million this year.
Yes.
That's a nice. I mean, that's a nice bump in pay. And you're somewhere. I know my role. I know playing with Paul George, playing with Kawhi makes my job a lot easier. So I don't blame him for staying.
Nicholas Batum came back, and it surprised me. I love Nicholas Batum. I don't know if most people appreciate him, but he was a driving force of the French national team that made it to the gold medal game. He is a playmaker on both sides. He can defend. He's long, 6'8", and he's wily. He's crafty. He can disrupt. He can steal the ball. He can make a play.
As long as you allow Nicholas Batum to be your fourth, fifth, or sixth best player. But you remember what he was in Charlotte. Okay,
I got it, but they were terrible, and all of a sudden, as a cog for a very good team, he is very good. He's very valuable. Serge Ibaka couldn't play last year because of a back injury, and I'm told it's okay. He's going to come back next year. What if Ibaka re-emerges? Can he score as a big man? Yes, he can.
He's not getting young. Well, here's the thing that should concern you. Kawhi Leonard is 30 years old. Kawhi Leonard has been load managing since he was 21 years of age. And the knees aren't getting any better. So are you sure that's coming off of this injury, moving forward, he's going to get healthier? Normally knees and joints don't get healthier as we age. Given his history of what we know, a guy that's been load managing since he was 21, he turned 30. Are you good with that?
I'm still good with that. He averaged 30 points a game in the playoffs. He made it through 11 playoff games. That was 7 against Dallas, obviously, in the first 4.
But they played more.
Okay, they did play more. But he averaged 30, 8, and 4 with 2 steals a game. That will work. He shot 39% from the three-point line. That will work. And when they really needed him, when they were down 0-2 to Dallas and down 30-11 at Dallas, game 3, he just took over. Well, he's that guy. And 30's not too old to give you that 3-year run from 30 to 33. He's in the heart of his prime.
No, Skip, he is in his prime, but is his body in its prime? That's the question that you have to ask, not Kawhi. Kawhi is 30
I'm
years
looking at glasses half full. I'm saying load management will now really start paying off in his 30s, that he didn't spend himself in his 20s, right? Okay, so now Ibaka's back. Marcus Morris obviously is back. Pat Bev is back, and he was tremendous in the playoffs. He has to conserve himself at an advanced age to save it up and spend it all in the playoffs. But did he not disrupt? Did he not cause some problems?
He played
very well. Rondo is back. I thought Rondo would end up being the starting point guard for this team, and it did not materialize. But he is still there and still viable. And Luke Kennard, every time they gave him a little run and a little chance, he made big clutch shots.
He played better in the playoffs than he played in the regular season. Terrence Mann might be the guy that's going to get a lot of run.
Speaking of Terrence Mann, he played 20 minutes a game in the playoffs and just got, to your point, better and better. He had a 39-point game against Utah in which he hit 7 of 10 3-point shots. He flashes greatness. I'm not saying he's going to be even a star, but he can be a starter for a good team.
He doesn't need to be the star, but he can play a starring role.
Okay. Big Z, again, not a star, but he is a skilled big man who plays his tail off every second he's on the floor. He disrupts. He causes problems. He can defend. He can rebound. He can score. He can do a lot of things that makes you a good team. And finally, they added one more depth piece in Justice Winslow. I've always liked him. I know he hasn't had huge impact in this league, but he's only 25 years of age, and he's like the last man on the roster. You don't
That's
think
all?
You don't think that's
like he's been in the league 10 years.
Yeah, he's 25 years of age. You don't think that's the championship roster that I just gave you?
But everything that you named, all those guys, everything is contingent on what? Kawhi's knees. And that thing's been bulky for the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay, I got it. But to me, everything is contingent on you guys. We're the team in the basement. You guys are upstairs with all those championship banners and all those numbers raised up to the rafters. We get that.
Yes.
We will soon own Staples.
No, you won't.
Because you are on the way down. Because what did you have to do after last year, another lost cause of the year for LeBron James? What did you do? You didn't just reshuffle the deck. You pretty much opened up a whole new deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
And it has one big joker right in the middle of that deck, and his name is Russell Westbrook. And you want to talk about a wild card? You don't know what you're going to get from Russell Westbrook, because I know you don't completely trust Russell Westbrook.
Skip, I've said it. If I've said it one time, I've said it 1,000 times. This is not a natural fit. Russ, AD, and LeBron. But if anybody can make it work, I believe LeBron James can make it work. But while you keep talking, all I know is in LeBron's first 3 years, he's won a title. That's what we do know.
It was bubble-licious.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I give you that. Yeah.
Look at Giannis. You heard Giannis talking about it, the bubble, how mentally and physically taxing and draining it was.
It was.
Well, how you say the guy LeBron is so mentally weak if he was the strongest one and was able to survive that?
Yeah, he was just smart enough to keep his squad together, and it was the only squad that stayed together. And then he got the break of his life. They got to play Miami without Dragic and without Bam. Are you kidding me? It's a walkover. It's a cakewalk.
Okay, so when did Dragic turn into Luka?
Well, he was their leading scorer in the playoffs up to that point, and then he couldn't go. He tried to go later in the series.
So how many games do you believe Kawhi plays? That's what. How many games does he play at all?
It's going to come down to this. You better hope that he takes a red shirt year. You better hope.
No, I'm not hoping. I'm not hoping anything.
I was told the surgery was very successful and that the tear was not all that impactful on his potential future health.
What? I'm waiting for the day that I hear a surgeon say the surgery went awful.
I got it, but I'm pretty plugged in here, and if it didn't go that well, if it was worse than expected, I think I would be told that. And I was told that he will come back full force from this. He will be 100%.
When?
Okay, I believe by March that he will start to play basketball games for the Los Angeles Clippers. March, April, and get ready for May. Won't they go back to the May schedule?
Everything's going back to normal.
All right. So I believe he will be ready to fly when it comes playoff.
You're hoping that he's ready.
You're hoping he's not ready.
No, Skip. Because see, here's the thing. When I got something good, it doesn't matter what you do. See, if I perform my best, your best is not going to be good enough to beat me. So if the Lakers do what the Lakers do, Bron, AD, and Russ, you can't see us.
Well, you got all new faces and all new places, and you're going to have to figure each other out once again.
Right.
And you better be ready by March and April to make your playoff run, because the Clippers, they've been together. They can just reinsert Kawhi into the middle of this, and they'll be right on schedule. I told you going back to the bubble, they didn't know each other. They barely played together.
They knew each other. Don't do that. You didn't say they didn't know each other opening night when they beat the Lakers. You didn't say on Christmas Day when they beat the Lakers they didn't know each other. You was out here crowing. You and Clipper Darrell. He sent out all them clips.
Oh, now I'm in the same sentence.
Because you came out here. We showed video of Kawhi Leonard's commercial.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to see it again. It's time today to see this commercial one more time, because it's about to become very significant. Look, here he is. This is Kawhi. Oh, he's in his vintage classic car, right? Oh, he's got a crown. It's a shot at the king, right?
Yeah.
Okay. These are his kicks. They're New Balance. You love New Balance, don't you?
No.
In fact, you secretly love... Oh, Kawhi Town. That sign said it's now Kawhi Town.
When? When is anybody moving to Kawhi Town?
Championship. That looks like a champion. This is his city. It is. It's his city now.
Skip, don't do that.
Reign over L.A. with a little dangling keychain crown. Love that.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
That took some audacity. That took some you-know-whats, right?
Yeah.
To drop that commercial on your opening night in L.A. while you're playing LeBron in quote-unquote his house.
This commercial, Skip.
Yeah,
but
he is going to back that commercial up.
When?
And I got a feeling this year.
When?
This year.
We back, I was up, even though you said he came out here to be Michael B. Jordan. You thought you was funny. You telling
LeBron.
jokes. Now you went to the stand-up.
Yeah.
Oh, he came to be Michael B. Jordan.
No, I think he's still
gonna
is.
Oh, he's in the movies. He didn't come to win. He come to rest on his laurels. Now we win a championship. You try to undermine us.
Well, it was a lucky championship,
It
but
wasn't
you won it. I give you that, but I say you will not win another. He's going into year 19.
So-
I want you on record. You will win another championship?
Yes. What part about yes didn't you get?
Well,
the Y-E-S?
it seemed like lukewarm, your response.
Capital Y, capital E, capital S. Yes.
So LeBron James, before he is finished as an
We'll
NBA
win
player,
another championship.
will win one more championship?
At least.
Is it at least or one?
He will win.
I think you just said one.
No.
Declared right out of the box. I said at least one.
He
for
might
Kawhi.
win two.
Really? Well, do you want to go on record and
Might
say
win
two?
two.
We'll say two.
Well, we already got one, so we win another. That's two.
We'll say three. Not one, not two, not three. Remember that?
He will win more championships with the Lakers than Kawhi will with the Clippers. And you feel comfortable? Go on record. Have the courage of your conviction.
I just did. I made an opening statement. Kawhi Leonard will lead this sad sack Clipper franchise that's never so much has even been to a finals, will go
And they
to a
still
finals
have it.
and win
And
it.
still have
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
50
They
plus
did.
years.
He finally led them, or with help from Paul George, to a conference finals. That was their first ever.
First of all, if you live in my house, you can't just watch whatever you want on television. Staples belongs to us. We determine what you watch. We would determine what you do.
For now.
What you mean for now?
Yep.
Forever, as long as you're in our building. Get your own building. Aren't y'all got something going down in Ingles? Didn't Steve Ballmer buy the farm?
He
and
did.
he gonna walk that land, he about to put his own little shop up? Okay,
what
well,
they said.
hurry it up. Because you're not going to have anything hanging there. Y'all got no banners. Y'all cover our banners up. Y'all come in our building, play in front of our house, and then cover all our pictures. Who does that? How you go to somebody else's house and cover their pictures of all their loved ones on the wall?
We do.
Exactly. Why? Because you got nothing.
We now have the better team because you have a liability at point guard named Russell Westbrook. I'm on record as saying it. Even LeBron James will not be able to overcome Russell Westbrook.
You got a guy that's pandemic. So at any given time, you never know what you're going to get. He might give you 40, but he might give you 4.
You were calling him playoff P, with all due respect.
Sometimes.
Yep, you know he was.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Russ knows him better than anybody. Russ knows he dropped a 5-piece on him.
I just hope that this is the year that the Lakers and the Clippers meet in the conference finals.
Well,
It
we'll
would
be there.
Epic, and you would lose epically.
We will be there. Where you will be is unknown at this time. See, everything that you talk about is contingent on this. Well, if this goes well, and if this happens, and if that happens.
No, I got only one contingency, that he comes back by March or April.
Hey, we just throw the ball up. We just throw the ball up.
Yeah. You really trust Russell Westbrook? Because you've told me again and again you do not.
I don't trust Kawhi Leonard's knees. I trust Russ more than I trust his body.
So you're hoping my man stays hurt. That's what you're saying.
All I said is that I trust Russell more than I trust Kawhi's body.
At this point, and it's weird with that commercial because normally they update commercials when it works well.
Oh, yeah, he had the boxing ring and talking about, but you already knew. I got next, but you already knew that. He got all these little classic cliches. And what he got? What he got to show for it?
Yeah, nothing to show for it right now. We got to move on.
No mercy.
Well, Mac Jones did not disappoint in his preseason debut last night. After teammates were saying he could be special, the rookie went 13 of 19 for 87 yards and no turnovers in the Patriots' 22-13 win over Washington. So, Shannon, how impressive was Mac Jones?
Yeah, he looked good, but nothing changed for me last night. Mac wasn't asked to do a whole lot. His best throw of the night came in a drop. I mean, he basically handed the guy a touchdown and he dropped it. You got to make that play, especially, Skip, when you're fighting for a roster spot. You make that play and you get Coach Belichick's undivided attention. But when you go 13-19 and you throw for less than 100 yards, it's telling me that you're checking the ball down.
Yep.
It's a lot of screen passes. It's a lot of on or behind the line of scrimmage throws. So they didn't ask him to throw the ball down the field. They didn't allow him to put the ball in harm's way. And Skip, I'm thinking since there's only 3 preseason games, probably this next game is the game that we're going to see where they probably do install. You see an actual game plan. Cam probably plays a quarter and a half. Mac plays because Mac played into the third quarter, late into the third quarter. Might have played the entire third quarter. 5 drives, 6 points. He could have got a touchdown, like I said, to drop. But Skip, I just think the thing for me last night, from what I saw, I don't think Mac Jones did enough to overtake Cam Newton. And people are, ooh, okay, yeah, that's it. I didn't see that. Coach Belichick might look at the tape and see something entirely different. But for me, he did what I thought he was going to do. He's extremely accurate. The ball gets out of his hand awful quick. But for me, I thought he played good. But it wasn't like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They got he's gonna be, forget Tom Brady, he's gonna be Joe Montana because he reminds you a lot more of Joe, especially with his body and his makeup, than he does Tom. But for me, Skip, I thought he looked good, but nothing changed. I still believe Cam Newton starts the season game 1 as the starter.
He gets rid of the ball, as you say, awful quickly, but it doesn't get to the receiver awful quickly. That's some soft arm, you know what, right? He does not exactly have a cannon, does Mac Jones.
Right?
Right?
He ain't throwing a rock and busting a window pane. That's definitely for sure.
No. In fact, to my eye test, Cam's arm looked almost twice as strong as Mac Jones' arm.
Yeah.
Cam's arm looked lively last night. I liked it. I like Cam's body. He's slimmed down a little bit. He looks good.
Right.
And he got very short stint, and I thought he threw a couple of really nice balls. And I think if they had to play tomorrow, I'm pretty sure Cam Newton would be the starting quarterback tomorrow.
I agree.
Do I think that Mac Jones will battle you? Do I think he can dink and dunk you to death? Yep, I do think that. Can they ground and pound? They have a stable of running backs.
They do.
And I'm going to throw this in because I tweeted this as soon as Belichick took him in the 4th round. I don't know if you were still watching the game this late, but Ramondre Stevenson out of the University of Oklahoma got loose late for 91 yards.
I saw that.
Again, I watch every snap of every OU game because I was born and raised there. I loved him for the Sooners. He's bigger than you think he is. He goes 230. He's listed at 230. He looks like he's 245.
Right.
And he can run. So he can smash you or he can dash you.
Right.
And you got a little bit of both last night. And he's now still 4th on the depth chart because he's a rookie, but they still got, you know, Sony Michel and Damian Harris was their lead back last year, and James White is still there.
Yeah, I like J.J. Harris.
Taylor's, he's a little lightning bolt. So
whatever happened to Sony Michel, Skip? The guy had 100 yards in the Super Bowl.
No, I don't know. But he's still there, and I assume he's going to be part of this attack.
Well, yeah, Stevenson. And the only 2 definites I know was Stevenson, I believe, was going to make the team, Damian Harris and James White. We know they love James White because he's the do-everything back.
Yep. And Brandon Bolden, for what it's worth, is still there.
Yep, he's still there.
So that's how they're going to try to win football games.
Yes.
But back to Mac Jones. So he got 1 series with the starters.
Right.
And yet that series was already against Washington's 2nd-string defense.
Right.
So you got to be careful here.
That's why I don't take anything. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to. He was not impressive eye test wise. He didn't blow me away with his velocity or even his accuracy. It kind of came and went. I'm not sure he was deadly accurate. And the first ball of the night that he threw to Jacoby Myers, it's like it barely got there.
That was a catch, too.
Yeah. And he caught it? Yeah. Well, he did. He caught it. You could just see he did. But then he threw the 2 deep balls. He has to kind of suck it up and gut it up to throw as hard as he can. Yeah. But the first one is to that kid, Christian Wilkerson. And I don't know him. He's undrafted out of Southeast Missouri State, and he got the most targets in the game. And it was a
that was a nice throw. You can't throw it any better than what it is right here.
You got to catch
that. You got to make that.
Yeah. And that would have made the night seem and feel a lot better. I agree.
You're correct. You're correct.
And then in the third quarter, they come out and they go hurry up, no huddle, and they let the kid operate because they want to see how he would do no huddle. That's
the same throw
shot again. And then he had a 3rd and long in this one, and this is to Gunnar Olszewski. And this it's a pretty good throw. It's just a little long, just a little off, and Gunnar's not the biggest guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm impressed with those. But in the end, I think Cam is going to have to be the quarterback. And if they get off to a nice start, I just think he's going to be the quarterback all year.
How soon we see Mac Jones is on Cam.
Yep.
Not Mac Jones. Mac Jones can't do Cam. If Cam plays like we know Cam can play, Cam is going to continue to play, Skip. But also, you look at this in that division. People believe Buffalo is a Super Bowl contending team. They get off to a hot start. Miami, people believe Miami will be a lot better than what they were last year.
I just don't love the quarterback, but go ahead.
But if they get off to a hot start and the Patriots are muddling around, well, you got no choice but to go to Mac Jones.
Okay.
So that's all on Cam. Everything is contingent on Cam. Cam plays well, Cam starts. Cam does not play well, Mac Jones is coming in the game.
So when Mac Jones did come into the game last night, he got a standing ovation because that Patriot Nation, they got shamed last year because obviously I think Tom got pushed out the back door by Belichick, but he goes to Tampa Bay and turns it into Tampa Bay.
Right.
And in the first year in a pandemic, they go win a championship. And you don't think that was hard on Patriot fans?
Yeah, of course it was, Skip. But, Skip, look, fans it's very rare. Now, being in Denver and having Peyton there and know what they did. But for the most part, fans love their own homegrown. Tom was homegrown. Mac Jones is going to be homegrown.
He will be homegrown, and Cam was not.
But you know what? Now that I look back at it, Tom Brady, with the exception of maybe a couple of years, have always had small receivers. So he's had to be accurate. He's never really had what he had when he first got to Tampa. Chris Godwin, big guy. Mike Evans, big guy. He had Gronk, but you got Gronk, you got Howard, you got Cameron Brate. You got big guys.
He just had Randy Moss.
For that one. But if you look at it, Deion Branch and Givens and all those guys, they're small guys. Amendola, Welker, Edelman. They're not big guys.
Nope. And they still don't have a whole lot left in the cupboard at receivers.
No.
It makes me feel for both Cam. I'm sure Brady's watching last night saying, I know how that feels.
Y'all thought I could work miracles with that?
Really? So do I think that Mac Jones is he built tough enough to stand up to replacing Tom Brady? I do think he emotionally, psychologically can stand up to the fire test of it. Do I think he's going to be good enough? I don't. Do I think he's Tom Brady the second?
No. It was Tom Brady, and then he broke the mold. But I think the thing what helps him, Skip, is that playing under Alabama. Playing with that pressure and the expectations. Because
he played big in all their
it ain't about just, okay, we won 8 games. Not at Alabama. You win the SEC championship, you play and win national championship. That's what it's about.
And I did see him take a lot of punishment at Alabama. He is a tough young man. I give him that. Mentally, physically tough. But after he got that standing ovation, I thought for Cam's sake, it made me hurt for him because, he's doing all he can, and then he's saying all the right things. I think we have a little clip of him after the game, a little sound bite if we could hear Cam afterwards, how he's dealing with
Everybody's different. Everybody learns different. But for him in today's performance, he's just going to keep getting better. And, we're going to be here for each other along this whole process, and, that's what we're here for.
We're going to be here for each other. I like that he says that. Do I think in his heart of hearts he wants to be there for Mac Jones? I don't. Because do I think Cam would like to be the starting quarterback?
Yes.
Yes. He won an MVP. He was the first pick in the draft.
I believe he will. I believe week 1, the guy that goes out there with the first offense will be Cam Newton. How long he stays trotting out there when the number 1 offense goes on the field is going to be contingent on how well Cam plays. Skip, you cannot. The owner said, hey, we spent a lot of money. We don't normally do that. I don't want to have to do that again. You don't win like they win. They've gone to the playoffs every year with the exception of 2008. So you go from 2009 all the way through, and you don't miss the playoffs. In the first year the guy leaves, you miss the playoffs. those fans aren't used to that, and that team isn't used to that.
Nope.
So you know what the expectations are. When you hear teams say the standard is the standard, well, that's a whole different level of standard what they got in New England. The standard is AFC Championship, Super Bowl. That's what we do. 10 wins, 11 wins, that don't mean anything to us. AFC Championship, Super Bowl. That's the standard. No other team can say that in the last 2 decades that their standard is as high or as consistent as the New England Patriots. That's what Cam is up against. That's what Mac Jones is trying to go into.
And what they're also up against is where we differ. I believe all that legacy you just outlined was mostly, almost all because of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., not because of Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick started to get exposed last year as the genius. Well, so, again, Cam and Mac Jones are with Belichick now, and they have to hold up the Brady end of the bargain, which I thought was at least 75 to 80% of what happened. He deserved the credit.
But the thing is that when you follow a guy like a Brady, everybody don't get to be Steve Young, who goes to the Hall of Fame, follows Joe Montana. Or you don't get Aaron Rodgers that's going to the Hall of Fame that's an MVP that follows Brett Favre. It doesn't normally happen like that.
Okay,
Can you imagine the pressure?
Jerry Rice was there, and he was just entering his prime as Steve Young took over.
And then you got T.O. comes along, like a couple of years later. Well, hold up. Who's the Jerry Rice in New England and who's the T.O.?
I don't know. I don't know. I like the 2 tight ends they signed, but Hunter Henry.
And look at what Rodgers inherited. Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson. It wasn't like he inherited some slouches.
No.
They ain't got none of that on New England.
No. Agreed. So I say good luck to Mac Jones.
Good luck to Cam, Mac, and whoever else.
So are you indicating you're a little off on Mac now? You're
No.
You loved him. You thought he was the best.
I thought he was the most ready to play.
Okay.
Still believe
right
that?
away. Yes, I do.
Even with that arm?
It ain't gonna get no stronger.
Nope.
Not gonna get any stronger. I'm sorry.
Just, these Patriots fans, they had to watch that Super Bowl, and apparently Tom is at it again. We did find out, though, that he didn't win that Super Bowl with a torn MCL in his first season with the Bucs. Quarterback coach Clyde Christensen admitted that last season Brady never felt good, and the injury limited his mobility due to it being taped so tight each game. So talking to reporters yesterday, Brady says he now feels better than ever. Take a listen.
Physically, I feel great. Best I felt, really in a long time. So, I feel like I'm in a good place, and I'm just going to keep working really hard we've got 1 week, about 3.5 weeks or so. This is the first time in 14 years I haven't had to wear a knee sleeve. I mean, every picture I've had for 14 years has been a knee sleeve, and in games I'll still wear a knee brace just because I still want to protect, from kind of a vulnerable spot for a quarterback, your front left knee. But it's just nice to practice and feel like I can just kind of put a pair of shorts on and run out to practice. And it's good, though. I'm feeling, like I said, physically feeling great, mentally in a good place. I'm just really excited to see what our team can become.
Shannon, this is a really, really important question. How tired are you of hearing how healthy Brady is now?
I'm exhausted.
Are you?
I really am. And the more they talk about it, the more they turn people off. They're like, we get it already. But Skip, Tom Brady's 43. Most 43, 40, well, I'm saying at the time he was 43. Skip, you have bumps and bruises. What do you think, Tom was a 22-year-old, his first year out of college? Of course there's going to be wear and tear. And he's talking about it affected his mobility. How? He was a Statue of Liberty to begin with, Skip. They make it seem like he had Kyler Murray or he had Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick type mobility. And it really inhibited him from doing all the things. Tom Brady might have 100 career yards rushing. And they're making it seem like all of a sudden, we get it. But what does last year have to do with this year? There are a lot of guys that play in a knee brace, that they don't practice in the knee brace, because you heard him say it. I've always had the knee sleeve on in practice. I didn't wear the brace, but I always wear the brace because I want to protect it because that's a vulnerable position. He's not the first. A lot of guys only plays in the knee brace. But I don't get why they keep trying to rehash this. We've got the greatest story ever. We got a guy that played 20 years in one location. He goes to another location, learns a very different system, even though they ingratiated some of the plays that he's familiar with. He wins the Super Bowl, becomes the first team to ever win a home Super Bowl, which means they won the game in the very stadium they played their home game. But that's not good enough. Skip, that's not a good enough story. I gotta add yeast to a cake that's already 15 feet high. Why? Why does Clyde Christensen feel like he needs to keep saying, "Oh, Tom was this, Tom was that"? Bruh, we get it. But the more you do this, the less people believe that it's actually true. Because it seems like you keep trying to tell a story. You say it once, you move on. You don't have to, it seems like everything out of Clyde Christensen's mouth is about Tom Brady's knee and what he couldn't do. How about his arm? Could he throw the ball? Ain't nobody running no zone read with Tom. Nobody ran no, when last time we saw Tom Brady run a quarterback keeper, Skip? So he's not going to do that. So he's not nearly as limited as, let's say, a Lamar Jackson or a Michael Vick or a Kyler Murray would have been, or even a Josh Allen if they had the same injury. Tom Brady is slide, what we call phone booth quickness. He's going 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right, get rid of the football. But Skip, I'm exhausted. I really am. I mean, they've talked about this ad nauseum. And I'm getting nauseous because I'm over it. But last year has nothing to do with this year. Can we just move on now, Clyde? Okay, we get it, Clyde. Tom had an injury. It's over. Can we move on?
Are you saying you are skeptical that he actually had a torn knee ligament that he played the entire season with last year?
Skip, no, I'm saying is that the more you reiterate something, the more people I don't know. You trying awful hard to convince us that this is what actually happened. If you tell somebody something one time and it sounds convincing, people okay. But when you keep bringing it up, hey, man, let me tell you about that time. Okay, that's a lie because you keep adding to it.
Okay, my turn. The most underrated talent a quarterback has is what I call pocket mobility, what you just called phone booth quickness. Slide stepping is gold for a quarterback.
Yeah.
The ability to have the sixth sense of he's there and he's coming there, and I have to slide 45 degrees left before I plant and throw.
Right.
And if you have a torn ligament in your knee, whichever way you have to move, if you're going to plant on that left knee, it's going to hurt. It's just going to be irritating. It's not going to be debilitating. It's just going to annoy the hell out of you because you're going to wince a little bit, even in your subconscious, because you know it's coming when you plant.
Right.
It's not going to feel great. And he overcame that all last year. I'm sure he just sucked it up and just tried to bury it in his subconscious.
Right.
Like, I know it's there. I just got to figure out how to play through it.
Correct.
You played through 1,000 things.
Yeah.
This is a hard thing for a quarterback to play through. Obviously, he cannot run down the football field, and he doesn't even try to run down the
quarterback position is the only position that could actually play with that injury or offensive lineman because they're not moving.
I buy that, but I have said from the start, this guy has ballet dancer feet in the pocket.
Yes.
It's very underrated gift that he has because you have to be able to do this. Just it's imperceptible quickness with your feet to reset, to reposition yourself, to throw while that defensive end is swiping and missing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're doing all that while keeping your eyes down the field. You're not looking at this right here. All this, you're down the field. It's just in his second nature to him.
Okay. So he's just saying, I'm in such a better place than I was because it's been 14 years since I actually got to go out to practice without a knee sleeve on. I think he feels like a kid again at 44. You know what he said? I can just put on shorts and my top and just run out the door.
So for the last 14 years, he's had this injury?
Well, he said he's had knee issues because remember, you got to go back to what year was it? 2008 when opening game, he got it torn up.
Right.
It's that left plant foot, right?
That's the play.
He said that's the vulnerable one. That's why from that point forward, he had to wear a brace.
Right.
And he still said, I'm going to wear a precautionary brace on my left knee when we play football games,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so I get all that, but he's just freer now. And he talked yesterday about how It's so much easier now. He compared what last year was. He said, I went to the first day of camp last year, and he said, I didn't know what Tampa right meant, because he said it's like going from English to Spanish.
Yes.
Right?
That's what Tampa, yes.
It's a whole, I don't know how it was from Denver to Baltimore for you, but the lingo's all different.
Right.
Everything's named differently, and so it's not second nature. When he's calling a play in the huddle, it's like you're trying to translate into Spanish, and like, well, what does that mean?
Exactly.
It's hard to process. And he said now it just rolls off his tongue, second nature, where he doesn't have to think about the play call.
Right.
He can actually think about, how am I going to execute the play?
That's exactly
He
right.
said it was so hard because not only was I not comfortable with the play call, but I wasn't comfortable with how my players can execute that play. Will they be there where I think they'll be,
Correct.
or are they different than what I used to work with? And then he said on top of that, then you have to try to figure, what is the defense going to do reacting to your guys, because you don't even know how your guys are going to react.
Exactly. And that's the hardest part, Skip. That's why you don't see a whole lot of quarterback movement. Every other position get traded.
Right.
Offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a running back, a DB, but not the quarterback, Skip, because it's so hard.
Okay, so what happened the first 8 games last year? It was hit and miss at best, and there were some big misses, man. That Sunday night against New Orleans, it was a disaster. At Chicago, ended up being a disaster, right? It was hard to watch. And then guess who arrived? Antonio Brown arrived. And guess what? He hurt his knee, and it's a meniscus tear, so it wasn't like a ligament damage.
Right.
But he had the first surgery of his career this offseason and got it cleaned up. And Arians is saying Antonio Brown is running the way he did 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So if Brady is 100% healthy and freer mentally, and Antonio, who kept getting a little better by the game, even though he was struggling with his knee and had to miss the NFC Championship game at Green Bay, if those two guys, probably the two key components on offense, wouldn't you say?
Right.
Because Brady loves Antonio and vice versa.
Right.
If they are 100% healthy, you don't think this offense is going to be even better right out of the gate than it was a year ago?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's the best offense. I think it's the most explosive offense because, as you well know, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are really good. They're Pro Bowl caliber, right?
Yeah.
And Gronk looked like he was, he can't do quite what he used to, but in spots and stretches.
And that's how they use him. If you look at it, Skip, the way they used him, he was like, they just milling around, they're doing a lot of blocking, and he catch a pass here, catch a pass there. But come playoff time, you see they start to feature him more.
They did.
He starts to become the Gronk that we know, the guy that's as good an offensive weapon in playoff as we've ever seen in the NFL.
And I mentioned to you, O.J. Howard missed the whole year last year with an Achilles tear. He's a stud.
Yeah,
he can be
really good.
Gifted, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how quickly he'll bounce back, but it's almost like an embarrassment of riches. It's almost like too much of a good thing at receiver. You only have one football, right?
I believe Tom Brady going to a new system, and the verbiage, Skip, the plays are the same, but the verbiage is different. It's kind of, when I hear wall route, I'm like, wall route, oh, that was a short cross in Denver. So that's what that is. 50 protection, 1 protection. When I'm in Denver, I stay in and block. 50 protection in Baltimore, I'm free to release. 70 protection. I'm out to release. I stay in and block him. So that's what it is, Skip. It's the same thing. I'm still running corner. I'm still running an option route. But we calling it something different. Tom Brady's heard the same verbiage for 20 years.
Right.
I had only heard the same verbiage for 7 years. So he almost tripled the amount of time of hearing the same verbiage. And now he going something to Tampa. Tampa, right? What the hell is Tampa, right?
That's what he's saying. And it's a little paralysis by analysis because if you have to keep analyzing, wait, how did that go? You can't free yourself to think of what you should be thinking.
Because everything Tom Brady knows. I know the play, now the defense. Okay, I know the play, I know the defense, I know where everybody's going. Oh, they're going to take that away. That's not going to be there. So I'm not going to even waste my time with that. Let me start 2 to 3 check down now. But Skip, if I got Tampa right, now I'm thinking. Sometimes you can tell when a guy is thinking, son, just react. Just go play football. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. But Tom Brady can't do that because his mistake cost his team's point. Because we saw the pick 6. Couple of those early. Tom's like, nah, guys outside leverage. I probably shouldn't have thrown that, especially to that guy.
So Tom Brady concludes, it's the best I've felt in a really long time. And I believe he said that just for you. I believe he said that just to get under your skin and in your psyche.
I think he said that because he said Coach Belichick beat the hell out of us for 20 years. All those tough practices and all that, those 2-3 hour practices, that was unnecessary. Because, Skip, what did he say? What I've learned about being in Tampa is that you can win and have fun. There's many different ways to do a lot of things. Coach Belichick had convinced all those guys that the only way that we can win is to work, grind. And Tom Brady like, hey, nah, I came here in 1 year.
Pulled it off.
And pulled it off. And we have fun. We enjoy it. We laugh and talk. And
in fact, they had so much fun that everybody came back.
Yes.
Everybody.
And we can do so. I think that's what he means, Skip. When he says I'm fresher, man, look, people don't think about that. And I understand, Skip, quarterbacks don't run as much and they don't do as much. What they do mostly is mental. The mind. And that takes but Skip, the running and all that other stuff. And Tom's like, you know what? I feel so much better knowing that we doing this in Tampa. We get breaks. They take care of us.
That's right. So, bottom line, have you seen the light? Is this now the best team in your eyes in professional football?
Yeah, I see the stage people, they changed that light.
They changed the light?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I see.
And who's the best team in pro football?
Skip, I've already...
It's the Buccaneers. It's Tampa Bay.
How about this? I told you that I believe coming back, the incumbent, unless something major happens, they should be the favorite. I told you that.
So is that it? I want to hear the words come out of your mouth. Tampa Bay is the favorite to win the championship.
Tampa Bay should be the favorite.
Should be?
Should be the favorite.
But they're not.
I'm not. Hold on. Have we made our Super Bowl pick yet? Didn't Tom say we got, what, 3.5 weeks? Okay.
Well, I don't need 3.5 weeks.
Well, I do.
I told you.
I do.
Yeah, as soon as I heard
10?
Shaq Barrett was coming back, I said, game over. Prohibitive favorite.
I need 3.5 weeks.
Okay, I'll give you 3.5 weeks. I'll check back in with you right before the season starts for your official feelings out of Tom can do it again.
No mercy.
Okay, so LeBron may have just sent a warning to the rest of the NBA. LeBron reposted an Instagram post to a story that highlighted his, quote, redemption season with the Miami Heat when he won his first title after coming up short the previous year against the Mavericks. LeBron titled the repost in his story with, quote, it's not about if you fail, it's about how you come back, followed by the crown emoji. He loves the crown emoji. He uses that one a lot. Shannon, why did LeBron post this?
Yeah, man. I mean, y'all must be thinking me and Bron best friends or something.
Yes.
Well, that's what you indicate.
That's what I think.
I mean,
I thought you said you're the fifth horseman, right?
I don't, Skip, look, everybody is not going to be fortunate like Magic. Get to the NBA, win a championship. Larry, second year, win a championship. Tim Duncan, championship. Everybody is not like that. Most of the time, the greats have had to endure year after year after year of coming up short before they finally break through. And I will concede this, LeBron's 2011 finals was epically bad. But to overcome that, to come a two-time MVP, to win 4 championships, and to be finals MVP, and to be all-NBA after all of that, he said, like, look, okay, yeah, I failed. But it's not about failing because we're all going to fail at some point in time. What do you become? What do you do after the failure? And he's like, and he's probably looking at it like this year. Yeah, I got hurt. But you remember what happened the last time I got hurt? I arrived in L.A., I got hurt. And what happened? I followed it up. I got hurt again. And guess what's going to happen? I'm going to follow it up. So he's saying, like, look, and you know, a lot of times we equate things to sports. But even in life, you don't get the job or you get terminated from a job. It's not about that. It happens. What are you going to do after it happens? And LeBron says, I'm going to rise up. Rise up. I'm still the king. And you're going to find out the hard way. Yeah, I see.
So is this a championship prediction for next year?
Could be.
Could be? Or is?
Could be.
Oh, it's cryptic.
Yeah,
so
that's what we do.
You don't have to really go on record.
Yeah.
You don't actually post.
That's what we do.
We will win the championship
The Da
next
Vinci
year. That would take some guts, man.
The Da Vinci Code, figure it out.
You have to be cryptic. You have to sort of tiptoe around.
You can figure it out. That's what you do. You Dr. Phil over there.
It's another vow, another warning from the king, right? Just like, remember the first year in L.A., going into playoff mode early. And
it didn't happen.
You missed the playoffs.
And then what happened the next year?
So that was it. That had to set up the next year. I guess that's what it was. Okay, so here we go again. And I don't disagree with the sort of the logic of this, the premise of this. It's like a cliche almost, you know. It's not about if you fail, it's about how you come back. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, that's like just a life principle for most people.
Yeah.
But you keep telling me day after day after day after day, talk about being exhausted from something. You keep telling me this man is the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
So why would you talk about failing if you're the greatest of all time? Because there shouldn't be much failure on your resume. And unfortunately, his resume is potholed. It's pockmarked with epic failure all the way through it, year after year after year, epic fails. He is 4-6 in the NBA Finals. And I don't know why you would bring it up. It's like, first of all, I keep telling you about LeBron. Don't tell me, just show me. Just go do it.
He did that,
okay?
and you still don't want to believe it.
Don't talk about it. Be about it. Go do it. As Nike always said from the start, pre-LeBron, just do it, LeBron, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the end, it is about failing if you're saying you're the GOAT, because you can't disqualify your previous failure by saying, well, but look how I bounced back.
Right.
Well, a lot of times you didn't bounce back.
He did.
Way too many times you didn't bounce back because you've lost 6 finals, right?
And he bounced back.
Okay, just because people are going to say you're piling on. No, I'm not piling on. He started it. He brought up failure. So can we count the ways quickly that he has failed in his career and tell me exactly how many times he bounced back from this? Because in 2007, everybody said LeBron's got next. He is it. He's the next MJ. And he lost all 4 games to the Spurs. At least you could take one off the Spurs because you were that good. You're that dynamic.
So what was Michael Jordan doing at 22?
Okay, fine. Let's go to 2009. You hit the shot heard round the world. You want to talk about being exhausted from something. It was game 2 at Cleveland. Remember, he hits the shot of shots.
Yeah, against Orlando.
Hedo Turkoglu. I don't know what he was doing because LeBron, he's like playing him to drive. Yeah. You have no choice. You got to catch it and shoot it because the game's going to be over. And he made it. Way to go.
Okay.
And then he fell on his face. Everybody said, here comes Kobe LeBron in the finals, and they're doing the Muppet commercials.
Yep.
And you remember that?
Yep.
And he fell on his face. And then we go to 2010.
38-8 falling on his face. But okay, I get you.
2010. Well, look at games. What was it, like 3, 4, 5?
They lost in 6.
Okay. 2010, Boston, you're up, you're in commanding position, and you lose games 4, 5, and 6 to such a point that your owner accuses you of quitting. And then somebody from your camp tells somebody at ESPN that you had to be sedated because you were having an issue with a teammate in the locker room. You had to be sedated before each of those games, 4, 5, and 6. Sedated? You're kidding. Then 2011 happened, and at least you do acknowledge that. It was the all-time epic superstar meltdown. Never seen anything like it in games 4, 5, and 6 against Dallas after you were up 2-1. And then they did break through finally in 2012, and LeBron had to say, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
Remember, that's what he said on the court right after the game. It's about damn time. It was against the baby thunder of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden. They were babies. They didn't know, and LeBron took them to school. Way to go. And then Ray Allen saved his legacy.
No, Ray, no.
Just saved. He came all apart down the stretch of that game, and
7
Ray
or 10
Allen
in the
saved
fourth quarter.
And then he followed that up by getting blown off the floor by a record margin by my Spurs in the 2014 finals.
You talk about how he came apart in 2008. You do realize they put the big 3 together to take LeBron down after they saw what he had done to the bad boy Pistons, too, that was running the East.
Okay.
They ran the East, and a 22-year-old took him down. Paul Pierce couldn't do it by himself. So what did they do? They made the trade for KG. They made the trade for Ray Allen. They already had Rondo. So they put that team together. That was a big 3 in the modern time. There have been big 3s before. The Lakers had them in the 80. The Celtics had them in the 80. The Sixers had a big 3. Okay, we get
and remember, in Game 3 at Boston Garden, LeBron played, I thought, his greatest game ever. You've argued that the Game 6 against Boston, and they're 50-50 to me, and I give you both of them. But listen, in that Friday night Game 3 at Boston, he was unstoppable, just dominated the Celtics, and they went up 2-1, and then this happened.
Right. Okay, Skip. But they lost. But I'm saying.
Okay.
You're criticizing a 22-year-old.
I'm not. Okay. Well, let's just keep going as he ages. Let's go to 2015. He played the three greatest greatest games I've ever seen him play, and they're up 2-1 with Game 4 in his house against Golden State before it was really Golden State.
Right.
And he had lost Kyrie, and he had lost
before
Kevin
it was
Love.
Golden State, but they still had an MVP.
Well, he was on the bench at that point, named Iguodala.
No, I'm not talking about no Iguodala. I'm talking about the Steph.
Oh, well, because all of a sudden Steve Kerr goes with Andre Iguodala in the starting lineup. Game 4 in LeBron's house, and I thought this is going to be LeBron's greatest moment. And he just disappears in Game 4, and that was the end of that deal.
Can you tell me the difference from LeBron James having a 2-1 lead against Golden State with Steph, Clay, and Draymond versus KD having a 2-0 lead against Giannis? What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Yes.
Well, he had them down 2-1.
You had them down. You had them down 2-0
in your palace.
You had them down 2-0. You had them 3-2. You lost Game 7. So what's the difference?
Well, you made the shot that I thought beat them, and you had 1/10 of a toenail on the line.
No, Skip. No.
Okay? Well, I'm just saying he did what he needed to do.
No, he didn't. No, he did not.
Yeah.
He needed to hit a 3. So see, this is what I love about sports, about our sports, about basketball, about football, about baseball. There is no subjectivity. It's not platform springboard diving. It's not gymnastics. You don't leave it up to the judge. Either you win or you lose. So I just want you to tell me the difference between what KD had, 2-0 lead and losing, or a 3-1 lead and losing. What was the difference?
Okay, but he lost the 2 games, obviously, on the road. He didn't get that game where you're up 2-1 in your house. It's a big advantage for LeBron. He's a whole game up on his rival.
So you saying with what KD had, KD up 2-0, and his roster is worse than LeBron being up 2-1 on Golden State?
Yeah. What do you mean worse? Like
his roster, the supporting cast, Blake Griffin and the guys that he had, they were worse than what LeBron.
They never had a lead, right? They never got up on where they broke serve.
We're 2-0. That's breaking serve.
But LeBron won thanks to Dellavedova. One game.
You see what you did?
Well,
you see what you did?
Well, Delly made this shot.
Okay,
I'm like, what?
So what role did Jeff Green play in that historic performance that KD had?
Both he and Blake were both very good.
But you didn't say
it was a virtuoso.
But you see what you did?
Well, it just was. I admit that. But I just told you the greatest 3-game stretch I've ever seen LeBron play. Remember, he was dominating. He was like 60% usage rate, where he just had the ball in his hands, slowed the game down.
That was all he could do.
And they could not stop him for 3 games.
Right.
1, 2. You remember 1, 2, and 3 in his house.
But when people said LeBron got tired, you said he couldn't get tired. But then in Game 6 and 7. Which KD
hold on, $2 million a year.
But in Game 6 and 7, when KD lost both of those games, and you said he got tired. What LeBron can't get tired, but KD can.
Okay, but KD didn't get tired until overtime when he just hit the wall.
He can't get
played
tired.
The whole game.
He can't get tired,
played
period.
The whole game, and he didn't have Kyrie. And James Harden was a liability. I don't care what anybody says. He was slowing everything down. He couldn't run at all.
Skip.
Remember the fast break where it looked like he was just going to get loose, and he just pulls up and lets everybody run by him?
Can we stop this notion? Every great player has had help, be it Magic, be it Bird, be it KD,
but remember,
be it LeBron.
I never said KD was the GOAT. I just said he's the best player right now.
Well, so he got to win that.
Okay.
You told me the best player. You told me the best.
GOAT.
Hold on. Before we started having this GOAT conversation, you said LeBron James, if he's the best player, he has to close out. This is before the GOAT conversation even came up.
Yep.
You said he has to close out the Golden State Warrior as the best player. Therefore, in turn, for that statement to hold true for everybody, if Kevin Durant's the best player, he's got to close out Giannis.
He hit one of the great playoff clutch shots I've ever seen.
Skip, who's going to remember that?
I thought it was over.
Who's going to remember that? Let me ask you a question. If Ray Allen hits that shot and they lose, We're not talking about that.
If his toe is on the line, I wish it had been.
Yeah, exactly. Why you wishing stuff like that?
So I'm going to finish out epic failure 2017 gentleman's sweep by Golden State over LeBron. And 2018 game one, it's a disaster. LeBron's got them. He's shooting the ball better in a playoff game than I'd ever seen him shoot it from outside the paint. He's got Steph on a switch. He just needs to go up at the free throw line and shoot a jump shot to win the game. You're down one.
Think about what you just said.
Well, you just got to make the shot. If you were the GOAT, you got to make that shot because you got to take that shot.
Think about what you just said. You just said LeBron James got swept by Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson.
Had him down.
No.
Dead to rights.
No.
Then went and sat on the bench.
No. I'm talking about 2017, KD's first year there. Think about what you just said.
Yeah.
You said that man.
All right, I give you, at least they won one game off him. But again, game one at Oracle, that's a disaster. And he sits over there between regulation and overtime and just pouts. Then we saw him do it again this year. Game 5 at Phoenix, it's 5:44 left to go. They're down 105-73, and he leaves his team and walks off and walks up the tunnel. And I'm like, LeBron, you can't do that to those guys. And that was the end of that deal.
That's how
These are epic failures.
So epic failures. So losing, and the people say that 2017, 2018 was the greatest teams assembled in finals. LeBron lost to him, and that's a failure on his part.
Well, are you the GOAT or not?
Skip, you see what you do? You have such a different argument for LeBron than any other player in the history of the game.
Tell me he's the greatest player in the history of this game.
Okay, if I say that. So Michael Jordan was the GOAT. Why did it take him 7-8 years to win a title if he's the GOAT?
Okay, but once he broke through, he won every time.
It should have been no once.
6-0 with 6
It shouldn't have been no once. He should have just been winning title after title. He was the GOAT.
Well, he proved he was the GOAT. Once he broke through, and he should have won 9 in a row.
Okay, why didn't he?
Well, he got sent home.
Don't do that. Skip, he even said the other day, he says, I don't know if I could have handled this social media. You read what he said. I hate that I started just come make a special appearance.
Well, LeBron doesn't just handle this social media age. He dominates it, right?
So just imagine.
It's not like he avoids social media.
That's what I wish. I don't wish for a whole lot, but I wish all the great players, be it Magic, Bird, all of them could have had some of the scrutiny where everybody is an analyst, everybody has an opinion, and they have a platform in which they can disseminate their opinion.
Okay, I didn't start this conversation. I did not tweet last night about LeBron failing. He posted today about failing. He brought it up. He opened the door.
Let me ask you a question. So you believe every work of art that Michelangelo painted with the Sistine Chapel?
So we're now comparing LeBron to Michelangelo?
Van Gogh, Degas, Cezanne.
What about him?
So everything they ever painted were masterpieces.
A lot of people think that every piece those guys painted was a masterpiece.
They know everybody knows.
Name one, and it'll go for $5 million.
I'm sure, just because of the name, just like the card. Did you see that card he sold? The highest card ever. Tom Brady had the record for a grand total about 4 or 5 months. And then James come behind him in the highest card. Boom, boom.
Better career, Tom Brady or LeBron James?
Boom, boom.
I think I'll take Tom Brady.
Hold on. All I know from 18 to 22, my guy was paying bills. Your guy was living in a college dorm. His mom sending him money.
That is true. He was getting drafted in the 6th round.
Okay, guys.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott is set to take a precautionary MRI when the team arrives back in Dallas this weekend. But the Cowboys quarterback says he is on the right track. Prescott said this week, quote, I feel great and I'll be ready when it really matters. Shannon, how do you interpret this?
I got an MRI. I'm still feeling discomfort, and I'm not ready to go. But in 3 weeks, Skip, I should be ready. If I had to play a game today, I would not be able to play. That's what I took from that. That's why they got an MRI. Because, Skip, if my thing was, I'm thinking, why did you get the MRI in the first place? Because something wasn't right. That's why you got the MRI.
Yeah.
Okay, you told me a couple of days. Here I am 7 days, 10 days later, and I'm still not right. And I'm soft-tossed in the foot. Yeah, I'm throwing the football, but I can only throw it 10 yards, and I can't put any zip on it. Let me go get another MRI and make sure. So, in other words, what I took, Skip, I'm not able to go right now. But I believe in 3.5 weeks when it's time for me to go, September, whatever the game is, Skip, that's Thursday night.
9th, yep.
I'll be ready to go. But I'm not ready to go right now. A reporter should have said, well, Dak, if you had a game right now, could you play? No. So but here's the thing, Skip. All that being said, Dak, I'll be ready to go. Do we believe that what if this flares up again? Ain't no guarantee that it's not.
Okay, and to your first point, what if the second MRI shows new sort of inflammation?
Exactly.
Right?
And plus, Dak is, we just saw him the other night complaining about not getting reps. Now he ain't gonna get no reps. He was talking about his reps getting cut short.
Yep.
Now he about to get no reps.
Yep. So my first point of order here is when it really matters. The truth is it's not going to really matter until 10 days after opening Thursday night, which is September 9th.
You already chalking up an L.
Well, am I chalking it up? You want to talk about wrong place at wrong time against Tampa Bay? Full force coming back to defend their championship.
That's your team,
with the healthiest Tom Brady that we've seen in the last 14 years, with AB coming off cleanup surgery that made him 100% and brought back his speed from 5 years ago. Are you kidding? Against my secondary at Tampa Bay.
Give me the Cowboys in the points, then.
Really? Well, that we'd have role reversal there, wouldn't we?
I can't believe that you could just sweep your team. That's your team. For 50, 60 years, that's been your team, and you let them go just like that.
It's outrageous. But what did I tell you last year? They threw Tom Brady into New Orleans for opening day.
Yeah.
Remember opening Sunday? In a pandemic with no preseason games. And we were talking about learning English to Spanish and all the jargon.
Right.
And now you're opening day at that dome, right? And what are your odds? Well, you're going to lose. And they had a rough, long day, right?
Yep.
Okay, this is going to be a rough, long night. This is the solo stage opening night game for the defending champs at home. Are you kidding me?
With fans. This is the first time fans going to be back in the stadium.
With fans.
I mean, to capacity. I think they had a couple thousand fans.
I agree. So, really, the first game that matters, quote unquote, to me is at Chargers at SoFi at the next Super Bowl site, which is 10 days later on that next, a week.
And Chargers not going to be no easy victory either.
Justin Herbert and company, right? Will he throw another party on my secondary? Yep. He might. So that's the game that matters because you don't want to fall to 0-2.
So you already said I'm 0-1 after one game.
I told you that when I saw the schedule. I said that's outrageously wrong.
I can't believe you.
Well, seriously, I almost got you to admit that they're a prohibitive favorite to win it all.
Who?
Tampa.
They're favorite. They should be favorites.
Right? You think they're the best team. You won't actually let that go out of you.
No, Skip. But I've said that. I've said when people say Kansas City is favored to win the Super Bowl, I'm like, how? I just saw a team beat them in the Super Bowl, and I know they got better. The offensive line is better, but I don't know how much better their defense got.
Yep.
And Tom Brady was going up and down the field of the defense.
Okay, so let's let this sink in. Dak Prescott very possibly will not play in any preseason games, right? Very possibly. There's some speculation he might play a little bit, a series or two in that last preseason game at Dallas.
Right. He's not playing.
I just don't believe he's going to play.
He's not playing.
I'll be ready when it really matters. Right. Well, the second MRI is nightmare to me because I don't like anything about it. And I don't like the fact that Dak divulged it after he bragged in the first Hard Knocks episode about...
How you kept it a secret?
I kept my second surgery a secret. The media didn't even know about it. And I got a wishbone on my ankle right now because there are two incisions that go together, right? It took two surgeries to correct what was a career-threatening ankle, a compound fracture where the bone comes up through the skin, right?
Yep.
It was horrendously bad. And how do I know for sure that it's going to hold up to the combat that is the National Football League?
I don't know if people understand this, but guess what a quarterback does in the game? Throw the football.
Yeah.
And probably Dak's going to throw it. Dak will probably have somewhere around, what do you think, Skip, 500, almost 600 attempts this year?
I hope so.
So what he's telling me, to make a long story short, Skip, I'll be right when it matters, but I'm not right now.
Yeah. Even if you are having a second MRI, why did you need them meet? Why did you give it? You volunteered it to them. I'm going to have a second MRI. And it forced Cowboy Twitter, their official Twitter site, to try to defuse the bombshell, right? By saying this doesn't really matter. It's not a set. I'm reading the quotes from Cowboy Twitter. Not a setback, not a reason to worry. But Dak Prescott is planning to have a second MRI.
Well, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave here today. I'm gonna go get an MRI. For what? I just feel like getting one. I ain't nothing wrong. What's wrong? Nothing. I just want to get an MRI. Who does that? Because here's the thing, Skip. Once he did that, see, if Dak doesn't tell you he's getting an MRI, and sources get it and reveal it, Dak had his second MRI.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys come out and says, this is not a setback, no need for alarm. Dak is still on schedule to go September 9th. So why is he going to get an MRI? So if everything's cool, and Troy said it. Troy said, I believe it's more serious than they're letting on. Troy knows all things Dallas, all things Cowboys.
Agreed.
So and he ain't just throwing that out there.
Nope.
So he told you a week ago that there was an alarm to be concerned than what the Cowboys and Dak was trying to lead you to believe.
Yep. So it smacked to me of a Kawhi Leonard or maybe a Michael Thomas issue where he's saying that the Cowboy doctors are downplaying the severity of it, and he needs the media to know, I need a second MRI because I don't feel right. This is not, it's not coming back the way it should. I can soft toss in practice, but it's still aching, or it's still, maybe it flares after practice. You know, something is very wrong here.
Well, Skip, look, I've had a second MRI. When I broke my collarbone, I got an MRI. Obviously, it showed that it was broken, blah, 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 and they said it would heal. So I'm working out about 8 weeks in. I'm running on the treadmill, and I hear crunch, crack, and I feel extreme pain. I go back. I'm like, I re-broke my collarbone again, and I'm running. They say, no, what you did, the MRI shows, is that you tore some scar tissue.
Yeah, I know. It's always scar tissue.
The bone is healing just fine.
Okay, but this wasn't a bone break we're talking about. It's a muscle either pull or strain or tear.
But why did I go get the MRI? Because I felt something. He went and got a second MRI because he felt something and it wasn't progressing as what they told him it was going to do. You told me 2 to 3 days. Here I am 7, 8, 9 days in, and I still really can't throw. And when I do throw, I'm throwing from me to Skip, and I ain't got nothing on the ball.
Okay. When I tore my biceps tendon, I went right back in the gym, you know me, and about a month in, I felt something going. It just tingled, and I thought, I did it again. And I went right back to my surgeon, and the next Friday in New York City, went right back to him, and I said, you got to look at it. So he did the you can do the ultrasound, and he said, nope, you're good. You're okay. Yeah. Well, it's because I thought I re-ruptured.
Yeah, people don't go to doctors. People don't go to get MRIs if they don't think something's wrong.
No. So when it matters, at Chargers. Okay. I hope he's ready for at Chargers.
Right now, I couldn't go. To make a long story short, what Dak told you is that I'm not healthy enough to play right now. But I will be September 9th.
Well, will he?
Well, I'm just saying what he's saying.
At this point.
Against that defense? Remember what that defense did to Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes?
And Devin White, of all the guys on that defense, I believe Devin White's the best player on that defense, and he has something to prove. The guy missed out on. He missed out on the Pro Bowl. I thought he should have been a Pro Bowl player. I thought he should have been, one of the All-Pro player. He's that good. People, and they got an opportunity to see, but now it's time for him to take that next step. Skip, he has Defensive Player of the Year potential.
He does.
That's how good he is.
Okay, and this will be a big opening night.
Oh yeah, he gonna be hunting.
Interesting. I'm curious how the Cowboys are feeling about Hard Knocks as well. If now they're kind of regretting that decision.
No, they're going to have some Hard Knocks.
Because you can't hide. You definitely can't hide in general, but now they're even more exposed in a lot of ways.
No mercy.
Tim Tebow remains on the Jaguars roster going into their first preseason game, but he has some work still to do. The Jaguars released their first depth chart, and Tebow is currently listed as the 4th tight end, but there are also 2 other tight ends listed at the same slot. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
I mean, it's kind of what I was expecting. I mean, the guy's never played the position before. He's been out of the league for 5-6 years, and he's trying to learn a new position, and it's not as easy as you think. I don't care how talented you are. You just don't jump in and do something that you've really never done before, especially at that age. maybe only Skip thought he'd be number one on the depth chart by now.
I did not. I didn't say that. I told you he's not even a tight end.
But I think the thing is, for me, is that they have 3 guys ahead of him, and I'm not surprised at where he is on the depth chart, but it really doesn't matter. I know a guy that got a gold jacket, and he was 6th on the depth chart at running back, Terrell Davis. Is that when you get your opportunity, Skip, you show. Be it special teams, if you get one play on offense, you just show. Hell, I was on the board to get cut, the last cut. I made the team, be it special teams, and I went on, I got a gold jacket, won 3 Super Bowls. So until if I'm Tim Tebow, my thought process is, until they tell me to bring my playbook in, I still believe I got a chance to make this team. That's how I would approach it.
Okay. I'm about to explain to you why Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer have played this perfectly and beautifully, and it's because of your answer that you just gave as to why they are handling this just perfectly. I believe that Tim Tebow's experience in the media is helping him right now. I believe that Urban Meyer's experience in the media, as a member of the media for Fox, is helping him right now because they now understand much better how the media works, and they know how to work the media. I believe that they are doing the perfect job right now of defusing, de-escalating, derailing any form of Tebow mania because they're giving the media zero to overreact to. So they've gone completely out of the way. This is number one key. No Tebow interviews. We've gone halfway through training camp. Have you seen one word from Tim Tebow?
No.
Because other training camps, he's been front and center because he likes to get interviewed.
He does.
He's very comfortable.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah,
okay.
he likes talking.
He does. Okay, but they had a game plan going in, no interviews.
Right.
Because if you don't give the media anything to run with, they can't run, right?
Right.
So have we been talking about Tim Tebow every day on this show? No. This is the first time. And it's only because I realized last night he hasn't spoken a word. And they keep him buried on the depth chart. He's not first, second, or third. He's actually tied for 4th with 2 other no-names on the depth chart.
Right.
Well, that would indicate he's not even going to make the football team, right?
I don't believe that. I believe, well, the thing is for me is that he wouldn't even be on a team if Urban Meyer wasn't the head coach.
Well,
and I've always said that I still believe that he's going to make the team for the simple fact, whether he's talented enough or not, he's going to make this team because Urban Meyer is going to find a role for him or place for him and wants him to make this team. All right,
I got it. So they have very craftily and carefully de-escalated any Tebow mania by burying him on the depth chart and no interviews, right?
Right.
And it'll be very interesting to see how much he plays, if any, in these preseason games. I don't think it will be much. Maybe in some
damn, Skip, how you going to make the team if you don't play at all?
Okay.
Then everybody going to know the fix is in.
Does anybody better than Urban Meyer know what Tim Tebow can do on a football field?
So is he going to? Are you going to let him play any special teams, or are you just going to hold him back for those maybe 1 or 2 occasions that you get in a game and use him at that?
I think as best they can, they want to keep the real Tebow impact plays under wraps. I do think that they do not want to reveal them in games. Maybe they'll let him try to play a little tight end, but I told you from the start, he ain't a tight end. There is no way they've been making. You see some quotes occasionally about he catches the ball pretty well and he's caught some red zone touchdown passes.
He'll body catcher though.
Okay, that's fine. And again, was he a natural born tight end? No. He's not even really big enough to be a tight end, right? Again, you played at like 225 or what, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's 250-ish, but today's tight ends, as you well know.
He's big enough, Skip, tall enough. Most of the guys are like Kelsey, 6'4", 6'5".
That's what I'm saying. What I mean, he's 6'2"-ish?
6'2", yeah,
right.
yeah. He's on the shorter side.
Right.
He got plenty of size.
Okay, so the point is, I still believe that he will be more of a touchdown scorer for them, a designated touchdown scorer, and that Urban will want to use him in goal line or short yardage packages, just the way he won a national championship with him when he was a freshman at Florida. Remember, Chris Leak was the starting quarterback, but Tebow played a number of plays, and Chris Leak seemed okay with it because he would come in and gadget play.
Is Trevor Lawrence going to be okay with that?
Yeah,
hold on, bro.
he's a rookie. Well, Urban's talking yesterday like Gardner Minshew's 50-50 to be the starting quarterback.
Urban need to stop.
Okay, well, that's what he's saying. Okay, defuse, right? Take the pressure down a couple of notches on Trevor Lawrence and keep the pressure completely off Tebow mania and Tim Tebow.
There ain't gonna be no Tebow mania. You can't be no Tebow mania as no tight end.
Okay, I will agree with that.
If you Gronk, if you Kelsey, if you Waller, the kid out of Oakland, Vegas.
Yep, I told you, H-back. Gadget roll, where occasionally you snap it to him and he throws a jump pass for a touchdown. Or you snap it to him and he goes student body left and he just runs over 2 linebackers to score a 2-yard touchdown or get a first down. That's who he is. That's what he was. That's how he won a playoff game for your Denver Broncos.
You got some pretty high expectations. Well, lofty expectations for Tebow.
That's not lofty. I'm talking about 8 or 10 plays a game, 6 or 8 plays a game, depending on situations, depending on how it unfolds. That's who he is. That's what you can trust. He's played a lot of football at this level.
He ain't played that position.
Okay, which position?
Tight end.
I told you he's not a tight end. I said it from day one. I have not backed off it a bit. Not a tight end. That's the way they're camouflaging this.
So they're gonna hand. So if he gonna be, so are they gonna hand him the ball, toss him the ball, or is he gonna take the ball from under the center, or they directly snap it to him?
They'll have a package of plays for Tim Tebow. Some they will snap to him, and if you want to call it a wildcat or whatever you want to call it, and some he will be the up back in the shotgun, and they will hand it to him or fake it to him, or maybe occasionally he will flare out and they'll swing it to him, a little 5-yard pass that he will turn up and run. Because trust me, if he gets ahead of steam, he is hard to get on the ground. You saw it in Denver, didn't you? Do you realize your Denver Broncos? He didn't even start playing until they were 1-4, so it would be the 6th game of the year. He turned them into the leading rushing attack in pro football that year because he can handle the football. And with Willis McGahee and Tim can run a little bit, right? Yeah. Can he throw it? Did he throw it in the playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I love how
he threw for 316 yards in that game.
You see how you
remember
do that? You picked one game that he played
One
well
game,
in.
it was a playoff game. It was the game.
No! Oh,
look! There it is again! There it is! Wait! He's going!
Jenny, you better not be responsible for this.
I don't have anything to do with it.
He's gone.
I can't believe you. Jeff, you and Healy. Healy, I know you had something to do with it.
Wait, look at that. Hit him right in the hand. Demarius Thomas is going.
I can't with y'all.
He's gone.
Skip.
I relived that moment. I was in New York City. I was on the floor on my back saying, he did it again.
Skip, you know that's almost been
You realize they won the division
That's almost been a decade ago.
Yeah, well, that's what he does.
You see how grainy the footage is? I mean, think about that.
Urban knows what he can do.
That was in 2D.
Yeah.
We got 4D and 5G now.
I was going to point that out, that you can tell how old it is because it's not as clear as what we're seeing nowadays. Skip, that is not a good sign for Tebow. If that's
Look at this.
no, I don't want to see it again.
Who keeps showing this again?
Wait, you know what? If we want some ratings today, we would just let's loop this play the rest of the show, and we might have a record rating.
I don't think
you can't see that.
You ought
enough.
to be. Yeah, they can. They've seen it enough.
It's your mercy. Well, even though there is currently no timetable set for his return, we now know Kawhi will be sticking around in L.A. Yesterday, Kawhi agreed with the Clippers to a 4-year deal with a player option that is worth over $176 million, according to reports. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us. Chris, will Kawhi lead the Clippers to a championship during this contract?
No. I don't believe that he will for several reasons.
He doesn't know.
And look, I picked them 2 years ago. Remember, his first year with the Clippers, I thought I was riding with Kawhi, but I don't think he'll get it done in these next 4 years. Number one, I don't think he's going to play next year. Now, they saying there's a 9 to 12-month recovery, right? He could come back earlier. Spencer Dinwiddie has been ready to play before 9 months. But the likelihood is 9 to 12 months for this rehab, right? 9 months would be right at the beginning of next year's playoffs. The problem is we know that Kawhi is notoriously overcautious with his body, right? And so, Skip, I have a hard time believing he's going to come back during the playoffs next year. I just think he's going to be extra cautious. I even heard stories about Kawhi when he was in San Antonio before he got injured, that he wouldn't step on the court unless he was 100%. And so I think he's out next year. So then we're looking at 2022-23. He'll be 31 at the start of that season. Skip, it will have been 5 years since he had played 60 or more games in a season. I don't think guys get healthier as they age. So I don't think he's going to be healthier. He's already been in load management. You know he's going back to that on steroids. All right, because he didn't load manage this year and he tears his ACL. So I'm sure he's going to be like, look, I told y'all I need to do my program. But he's probably going to do that program and then some coming off of this injury at 31 years of age. So I think there's that. Then I don't think Kawhi is going to come back as a better player. If he comes back as who he is, that's great. And hopefully he will. And I think he'll come back as a top 10 player. I still think he'll be great. But as he is, he hasn't been able to lead them to a championship. As he is, they went down. They dropped a 3-1 lead to Denver in the second round. As he is, they were tied 2-2 with a pretty good Utah team before he got injured this year. So there's those things. And then finally, Skip, there's this. Other guys are coming. All right, Luka Legend, Baby Bird, Swaggy L, the Slovenian Nightmare, whatever you want to call him, he's already giving Kawhi and Paul George all they want. He's going to be better when Kawhi gets back. Giannis, who knows what type of swag this championship might put in Giannis and the Bucks. And then Kyrie and James Harden look like they're about to sign long-term with Brooklyn, so they're not going anywhere. And that's not even to mention the Lakers, the Suns. So I wouldn't mind being wrong, because I think it'd be great if he could bring the Clippers their first title. But I'm going to say no. I don't think he will.
Clippers will continue to suffer. Couldn't he have signed the same deal that the KD got? KD got 4 for $198. Couldn't Kawhi have gotten that same deal?
He left money. He could. This was the 176. He could have like opted in, signed for a little more money.
You have to risk.
Right. Or he could have done a 1 year deal, and next year up for 5 years at like $235. So he left money on the table for some.
No, you can't. Given his injury history, you can't. He can't pull no Dennis Schroeder. You can't lose the suitcase. You can't lose the bag. No, don't. He ain't doing that. And he took that 4th year, even though it's an option. That's a security blanket, Skip, just in case. I just
said that.
Just in case the knees get a little bulky at the end.
Okay.
I got $50 million coming my way. No. No.
You better hope so.
Hey, go back to like Mike McCarthy, Skip, the Spider Shag me. No.
You watched that movie?
I did watch it, Skip. Skip, look, the thing is that a lot of what Chris said is true. The Nets are not going anywhere. Giannis and Milwaukee are not going anywhere. There are a lot of teams that's going to be. I still believe, come trade deadline, I don't believe Dame finishes the season in Portland. I still believe the Sixers are the favorite to land Dame Lillard. So now you put that with Joel Embiid and Dame. That gonna be real nice. That thing gonna be real nice. That might be Magic and Kareem, Shaq and Kobe.
How is LeBron gonna win another title with that?
That's before that happens. But we might win next year. But anyway, we ain't talking about LeBron. This is about Kawhi.
Oh, we're about to talk about LeBron.
Your guy. First of all, if your guy load managed before then, he might not play by 25 games coming back. He might play 25 games a season. And all the things that you said, and when you get guys on max contracts, Skip, a lot of time to add pieces around them, you're getting guys playing on mid-level exceptions or vet minimums. And you got to hope. When they want to come to L.A., they want to come to the Lakers. Lakers. You see what we got?
Really?
Yeah.
Then why did ESPN recently report that Russell Westbrook called Kawhi Leonard and all but begged him, please take me with you to the Clippers?
Where is he at?
because Kawhi said, "Oh no, I think I want your teammate."
He didn't say that. He called the man back. You could at least call the man back.
Yep. And so LeBron said yes to Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi said no. That was the turning point of why Kawhi is about to win a championship for the Los Angeles Clippers. Why LeBron will be stuck with Russell Westbrook.
You haven't won one.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win one. I'm sorry that I made a long story, a short story, long still. The answer to Jenny's question is no.
Yeah, well, I've heard a whole lot of wishful thinking from Chris Broussard and Shannon Sharpe because they are hoping against hope, even though Chris tried to disqualify. No, you don't hope they would win because that would do in your man LeBron James because all of a sudden the Lakers would have to go to the basement at Staples. That's what's about to happen.
It ain't happening.
And I am here to tell you right now, I was told that the ligament in Kawhi's knee was not terribly torn, that it was eminently fixable, and that there is belief that he could come back by March or April and be ready for next year's playoff run.
The man had a thigh bruise and missed 73
that's
73
because
games.
He wanted out and he got sideways with Greg Popovich. So I give you all that, but all that load managing that he did in his 20s might benefit him in 30s because he doesn't have nearly as much mileage on his tires as LeBron James
and
does.
His knees still bulky. The guy been low managing Chris since he was a teenager.
Yep.
And he still got bulky knees.
So let's sit back and ponder these two rosters, shall we?
Yes.
I got Kawhi Leonard, who averaged 30 a game in the playoffs. I got Paul George, who rose and shone, looked like a superstar in the playoffs, averaged 41 minutes a game, went 27, 10, and 5 in the playoffs, and actually carried the Clippers pretty well without Kawhi Leonard. It took the greatest stretch of Chris Paul's career to knock out my Clippers, in which Chris Paul, in the last minute and 28 of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, scored 27 points. How was he even capable of that?
But the Clippers weren't a super team. You make it seem like the Clippers were a super team.
But
you
admitted to me, you said it on air, and we can look it up because it's on tape.
Yeah.
You said if Kawhi had not been hurt, they would have gone to the finals because they would have won the West. Am I right?
I believe yes.
Okay, well, so why wouldn't they win the West next year? Because they're a year better, they're a year closer to each other.
We're a year better. We're healthy.
You didn't just shuffle the deck. You broke open a whole new deck with a big old joker right in the middle of the biggest wild card ever, Russell Westbrook.
You see how you talking sideways about Russ? He hear that.
You talk sideways about Russ more than I do.
No, I just said
you trust him less than I trust him.
I just said it wasn't a natural fit.
Okay, well, if it's not a natural fit, how are you going to win a championship with him?
If anybody can make it work.
The guy who vowed on social this morning, it's not about failing, it's about how you come back from failing.
You a hater.
I'm scared, LeBron. Does that mean you're going to win next year's championship? Is it a vow? Is it a message? Is it a what? I don't know what it is.
You'll find out.
All I know is I've been watching a lot of Summer League, and I saw Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers at Summer League. He and Paul George are in attendance. He is all in. He is invested in the Clippers.
He got no choice.
Yeah.
What of his options? What other options does he have?
Remember, once upon a time, Kawhi could have joined forces with LeBron as a Laker.
Right.
And in the 11th hour, in a shock-the-world shock, remember that? An earthquake of a shock here in L.A. following a real earthquake. He went to the Clippers.
He went to the Clippers.
And the quote that I heard that was widely reported was, I didn't want to play with LeBron. I wanted to play against LeBron.
And guess what he got to show for it? All I know is my guy got a championship and a finals MVP to show for it. In 2 years, what does Kawhi have to show about his presence at the Clippers? What does he have to show? What banner?
He has an injury thanks to Joe Ingles bumping him on a semi-break. That's what he has to show for it.
Can you believe that,
He
Chris?
has to show for it that the great Shannon Sharpe said they would have won the West if not for that little injury that he suffered, right? You said that. I didn't say it. You said it.
Kawhi has been as motivated as he could possibly be to beat LeBron and win this championship these previous 2 years, right? He was regarded by a lot. When he came from Toronto, a lot of people were saying he was the best player in the league. A lot of people were saying he could be a top 10 player ever.
And?
A lot of people were saying he was having commercials, Kawhi Town. Yeah, I'm the king. This is my town, the town where the Lakers at, the town where LeBron's at. and he still didn't deliver. And they went down, they dropped a 3-1 lead.
3-1.
Nobody wanted to be in the bubble. What did the great Jared Dudley say about the Clippers? Them boys didn't want to be in that bubble. He said it that nobody wanted to be there.
Why not?
But Chris, let me ask you a question.
Not?
Chris, what does everybody say? LeBron James is the most fragile, mentally tough superstar in the history of the game.
That's in clutch situation.
But he wanted it, but he's tough enough to stick it out in the bubble.
He kept his team together because he smelled blood. Right. He smelled an easy W in the finals.
So he is an assassin, huh?
Oh, an assassin?
Okay.
No mercy.
So LeBron may have just sent a warning to the rest of the NBA. LeBron reposted an Instagram post to his story that highlighted his, quote, redemption season with the Miami Heat when he won his first title after coming up short the previous year against the Mavericks. LeBron titled the repost in his story with, quote, it's not about if you fail, it's about how you come back, followed by the crown emoji. Chris Broussard still with us. Chris, why did LeBron post this? He can't help himself.
Look, I don't think this is the sexy, controversial, delicious answer that you guys might want, all right? But I don't think this is nearly as cryptic or ingenious or devious as some people think. I think LeBron is just sending an inspirational message to his fans and followers. Look, it's a great message, right? It doesn't matter if you fail. It's how you come back from failure. And his failure, we know what his failure was in Miami, Dallas 2011. Man, that's an inspiring story. I mean, LeBron was at rock bottom. Everybody in the basketball world was saying he choked. He wasn't this, he wasn't that. He had been killed the year before for going to Miami. He had predicted 7 championships. And then he was the reason they lost the finals because he melted down. Yep. He said he stayed locked in his house for weeks. And he really had to do some soul searching. Yep. And then when he comes back the next year, they were close to failing again. They were down 2-1 to Indiana in the second round. He goes for 40. They win the next 3. They're down 3-2 going back to Boston, Skip. In the conference finals, he goes for 45 and 15. They win the next 2 championships. That's an inspiring story. I mean, that's MVPs, something Chris. You can tell your little school children. I mean, real talk. Like, that is a great message. It doesn't matter if you fail. It's how you come back from it. So I don't think it's any deeper than that. I can make it deeper, but I really think that is what LeBron means. Why else? He's got a Miami jersey on. If it was really about next season, sending a message to Durant and Kawhi or whoever, why wouldn't he have a Laker jersey on? So that's what I think it is. It's inspiring the young folks.
Go ahead.
Oh, you go.
No. I want you to go. You to go.
Well, we do know that LeBron knows failure. He knows it better.
Hey, go ahead on with that.
Wait, is it my turn or not? Do you want me to talk or not? You asked me. You said go. I don't know. He's 4-6 in the finals, and I have no idea why he would open this door, but I have to walk through it. And Chris fixates on his one epic failure, but his whole legacy is potholed and pockmarked with failure upon failure upon failure. We don't have enough show left for me to go through it, and it started way before the 2010 finals in Miami, or the 2011, because how about 2009 against the Magic, he gets the shot heard around the world, and then tell me what happened. Everybody said, it's going to be Kobe versus LeBron in the finals. And they couldn't pull it off. He couldn't pull it off, right? And then against Boston the next year, he played one of the great games of his career to go up 2-1 at Boston, and then fell on his face so badly that his owner accused him of quitting. Is that an inspirational story? I don't know. And then after he broke through in 2011, let's go to 2013. He comes completely unglued down the stretch of Game 6.
He didn't stop saying that.
He had 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes, but he had 2 turnovers in the last 1 minute. And he bricked the shot to tie, and they get the offensive rebound thanks to Tim Duncan being on the bench. Pop. And what happens? Ray Allen hits the greatest clutch shot in the history of clutch shots and saved his legacy. If that ball doesn't go through, we're having having a whole different conversation.
But we're just going to gloss over the fact that he was 7 or 10 in the fourth quarter, and they came from 10 down.
He did.
Right.
All that really matters in the end is what happened in the end, right?
Hold on. No, I want you to say that one more time. Say what you just said. I want you to repeat it slowly because sometimes,
Kevin Durant had a 1/10 of an inch of a toe on
it
the
only
line.
matters what he just said. It only matters what happens in the end.
Well, at least he was hitting the clutch shot that looked like it had won the game and eliminated the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, in overtime, what was he?
Okay. Well, he hit the wall.
Obviously. No, you can't hit the wall.
No help. He had no help. You told me the next day it was 1-on-5. You said that.
Yes, but I remember watching the show where you told
Why are we talking about Kevin Durant? This is about the quote-unquote GOAT, as in phony GOAT.
This is about LeBron.
This is the phony GOAT.
This is about LeBron. Chris Broussard was on your other show, and he said LeBron just got tired of carrying the load, and you said Lebron James can't get tired.
Yeah,
so why can Kevin Durant
Chris,
get tired?
It was somebody else on that show. It was you know who. Okay. So, and we keep going. Like 2015, you're up 2-1 on Golden State before they were really Golden State, and you got them. You play the greatest 3-game stretch of your career, and you go home. You're at home for Game 4, and you go 7 of 22, and you hit the wall.
Skip, think about what you just said. You said before Golden State was Golden State.
They didn't know who they were.
You do realize they were 67 and 15 that season with an MVP.
Okay. Did they look like that in the playoffs to you in the first 3 games? Because they looked vincible, not invincible. They looked truly invincible.
Skip, I get all of that. But then what happened the next year after they went 73-9? And old Gold James.
Well, they were invincible that year.
And Gold James had Kyrie to come along with him.
How about 2018, Game 1 at Oracle? LeBron shoots it the way he's never shot it in a playoff game. And then with the clock ticking down and you're down 1 and you get the switch onto little Steph and you got a free throw line jump shot and you pass the ball. You can't do it. It's epic failure.
George Hill was wide open.
Yeah.
Pass the guy to it.
And then LeBron goes and sits away from his teammates on the bench and pouts before overtime.
So I want to ask you one thing. In all of your years, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, so LeBron James is the only guy to have ever lost a game that was up there in a series, lost a series in which he was up 2-1. He's the only superstar. So Jordan, Magic, Bird, none of these other great players has ever lost a series in which they were up 2-1. Because I can go back to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals when Jordan was up 2-1 on the Pistons.
Did Jordan ever have an epic failure like 2011? Show me one where he just spit the bit. Look at LeBron's stats in games 4, 5, and 6 against Dallas. Go look at him.
Did he lose the game?
Horrendous.
There have been some games in which LeBron James averaged a triple.
He lost games after which Larry Bird said, that was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
LeBron James averaged a triple-double over 5 games. And he averaged a triple-double. But they lost against the Golden State.
Against in the first one?
No, in 2017, they lost to KD. They lost in 5 games. He averaged a triple-double. And he was 4 rebounds away from averaging a triple-double again. So he almost had triple-double in back-to-back final series.
Yeah.
But you're talking about he choked?
And Kyrie said he's stat conscious and I can't take this anymore. I got to leave.
And Kyrie left with the Boston. How'd that work out for him? Now he's in the Nets. How'd that work out for him?
Well, he got hurt. So we'll see how it works out.
Whoa. What I got to do with Go James?
2019, he comes here chasing Michael B. Jordan, and what happens? He activates playoff mode. He posts, I'm in playoff mode early. You didn't even make the playoffs.
He came to L.A. trying to be Michael B. Jordan, and lo and behold, he became Denzel Washington and won an Oscar. He won the title.
Well, and then just recently, Game 5 at Phoenix. You want to talk about
there you go, man. Stop it.
They're down 105-73 with 5:44 left in the game, and LeBron leaves the bench and walks up the tunnel because he doesn't want to associate with that mess out there on the floor. Am I right? Even you said that's a bad look.
Yeah, it was a bad look.
For the GOAT, that's an epic failure to me.
So I guess if you punch somebody in the face or punch him in the nose, that's being a good GOAT, right? I just asked you a question. Would you rather have LeBron walk away from his teammate or go around punching him in the eye?
I'd like him just to sit still and take it like his teammates had to take the rest of the game. That's all. You said it the next day. You said, I quote, the great Shannon Sharpe, that was a bad look.
Chris, I just wish that some of the historically great players could have played when we have social media and everybody has an opinion and everybody has a platform to disseminate that opinion. That's what I do. If all the things, I don't wish them to win the lottery, that would be nice, but I wish the great players, some of the greats, could have had to go through this 24-hour sports cycle that these guys have it today. Because we make it seem like Bird, Magic, Kareem, Michael never lost a series.
That social media cycle that LeBron fuels every day and every night.
Michael Jordan already said, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. The man said he was burned out. Remember, he walked away from the game because he was getting tired of people talking to him and asking him questions. That's what he says, Skip. Now, if it's a lie, he told it.
Phil, that's why he walked away.
Not in 93.
That was a whole nother issue.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott signed a massive 4-year, $160 million contract over the offseason while rehabbing from his ankle injury. The Cowboys quarterback admitted this week that the organization did so much for him during the rehab process that he, quote, never in a million years thought that I'd be playing somewhere else. So, Shannon, what does this tell you from Dak?
Dak knew he was always in an advantageous situation. He was always in that position. And what I tried to tell you, Skip, is that he knew the Cowboys needed him. Now, if they finish in the top 5 and they can get one of these rookie quarterbacks that were coming out, we might be having something different. But now they're in the 12th. Well, I think they're in the 11th spot, and they ended up trading down with Philly, back a spot, and ended up getting Mike Parts at 12 instead of picking 11. But all the quarterbacks, with the exception of Mac Jones, were long gone by then. So, Skip, even with a broken ankle, he knows I'm getting the franchise tag, so I'm getting $37.7 million. I know that. I also know Jerry, for the last 5 years, Jerry has talked about his mortality. He knows that Jerry Jones wants something more than anything else. He wants that ring. Gilbert and bad Ben Anthony DiNucci is not going to get Jerry closer to the Lombardi than what Dak Prescott was going to get it. So he knew at worst case scenario, even coming off a broken ankle, Skip, I know I got 37.7. Now, if they want me long term, well, this is what you're going to have to do. So Dak knew I was always in an advantageous situation, and they couldn't no possible way. If Jerry wanted to win a championship, could he do it with anybody else other than me? Okay. And so he knew what was going to happen.
Or did he know? Because I don't think the man with the purse strings knew, because Dak is saying never in a million years did I think I wouldn't be a Cowboy. I think Jerry about 1 million times thought about Dak not being a Cowboy. Why did it get drawn out to the bitter end? What was going on? Jerry wasn't sure about Dak.
Well,
Am I right?
Jerry was trying to win the contract negotiation. You said, well, this is what I think you're worth. And remember I told you Todd France and Dak's sake, because he fired his original agent. And we're with Todd France when it came time to get this big money, Skip. And I told you, I said, Skip, the market is going here. It's never going to come back.
Okay, but do you think Jerry was completely sold on Dak Prescott?
No.
Remember, Dak bet on himself down the stretch of 2019, and what happened? They fell on their faces,
they did.
Right? And they kept going on the road and just stinking it up, and Dak wasn't very good.
But even if you might not totally believe in me, but you believe in me a little bit, because guess what, Skip? You put the franchise tag on me, and then you put it on me again. Okay. So that means you like me a little bit. Okay,
but don't you know that Jerry was thinking, because we talked about it day after day, Jerry had to be considering that possible scenario where he would trade Dak Prescott straight up for one of those picks in the draft, right? Yeah. And he could take one of those quarterbacks, whatever your flavor of the night was.
I think Dak's value is in Dallas. I think Jerry understands that. Jerry, the one thing he wants more than anything, Skip, is is to be up on that stage. Yep. I don't know what network's going to have it, and have Commissioner Goodell hand him that trophy. Skip, Mike McCarthy is not going to talk. The Super Bowl MVP is not going to get to talk. Jerry's going to take this over. It's been so long since he's been there. And Skip, you know when you go, Jerry bought the team in 1989. And within his first 7 years, from 89 to 95, he had 3 of those things. Yep. So they came easy. Jerry like, man, this thing will breathe. I'm going to have these things. And then here we are 26 years later.
And what did Stephen Jones, his son, say the other day? His only regret in the time he has been owning and operating the Cowboys is that they didn't get Dak done earlier. Why did they not get Dak done earlier? Because his father wasn't sold on Dak Prescott.
Even if you're not sold, Skip, you go to Dak. Skip, Dak's only making like $1.82 million. Go to him and say, Dak, we got 5 years.
Okay, but I'm just telling you, Jerry is a plunger.
Yes.
And you don't think he considered other scenarios, trading Dak maybe for another starting quarterback or trying to trade him for Trevor Lawrence? I doubt Jacksonville ever would have done that.
No,
but I'm just saying.
I don't believe anybody was moving that pick for Dak.
Okay, well, then Jerry's saying, I'm stuck with him?
Yes.
Is he not that good? Is he not worth this kind of money? Because what happened at the opening, the press conference after they finally made a deal? Jerry just admitted, you got me. You know, I lost.
But Skip, if you go to him, and remember when they signed Walker to him and they signed Jared Goff?
Yep.
I say the price tag just went up. If you go to Dak when he's making $2 million, offer him $30 million.
But Jerry was not sold on him for any amount of money.
Well, he still might not be sold, but you're paying him $40 million.
Okay, but there were times when Jerry thought about Dak not being a Dallas Cowboy.
Well, Skip, it's a long. Okay. You paid the guy $75 million, you better be sold on him.
Well,
you paid the guy $75 million in 1 year.
As often as you need to make sure you are at least, deciding your soul.
No mercy.
Last night, we got to discuss it. The MLB Field of Dreams game, it couldn't have gone any better. We saw 8 home runs getting launched into the cornfields and ended with a walk-off home run by the White Sox to cap it off. Just that intro alone, the players walking through the field, it was spectacular. It was emotional. Shannon, how cool was this game last night?
It was great. And I know most of these guys have never walked in a cornfield before, but take it from a guy that grew up on a farm that spent a minute of time walking and played in the cornfield. Skip, I said I wanted to see Aaron Judge hit a home run in the cornfield.
He
did me better. He hit 2.
Yep.
They hit a bunch of home runs, and then you get a walk-off. Skip, I don't know what's the equivalent for the NFL, but I need the NFL because, in hockey they have the games outside on the ice and everything, and they have this Field of Dreams. What can the NFL do?
Good question. They should make a movie about what happened last night.
It was special. It was unbelievable.
Because it started with goosebumps when the players walking out of the corn just like in the movie, followed by the star of that 1989 movie, Kevin Costner, giving a stirring and emotional speech. Then we had a top of the 9th rally by the Yankees, followed by an even more epic bottom of the 9th comeback by the White Sox with a walk-off. It's better than fiction.
8 home runs. It doesn't get any better. When MLB said, you know what, we're going to go to Iowa, we're going to play a Field of Dreams game, they didn't envision this. Hollywood couldn't do a script like this.
Nope, they could not.
It was perfect. It was a storybook ending. And let's just say a big congrats to all of our colleagues at Fox Sports for pulling that off. It was special. We will remember it for sure. That is it for Undisputed. Guys, have a great weekend. The Herd is on next. We'll see you Monday.